What is up, guys? Yandere Neko here. And with Death Battle 2025 being here by the time I upload this, I thought I'd do a fun ranking all Death Battle combatants weakest to strongest. Starting with Season 7 because that's the ha-ha funny Marvel vs. DC season. Now, some ground rules before I begin. 1. I am using the calcs Death Battle provided because researching where 40 characters should, quote, actually be placed would just be extremely fucking annoying and beyond my abilities. And for 2, I make no claim of perfect accuracy, because occasionally you'll just get instances where one character has this one stat that's way above the rest. So it'll just be things like, well, character A has really good AP, but horrendous speed. And character B, amazing speed, but horrendous AP. And it's like, okay, you have to balance, well, if character A lands a hit, he would win. But, character B has like a million different ways to evade it. So it's, point being, it's not going to be perfectly accurate, but the relative numbers should be there. So without further ado, let's get into the list, and thank you for watching. And at number 40, we have the Red Team. Now, while the 50 megaton bomb feat would unironically put them in 20th place, or above Kakashi if you want to know, the thing is, outside of just deliberate trolling, I cannot put them that high. For one, they get dropped by other things that are much weaker, so it's not like they're just taking 50 megaton hits all the time. And for 2, even if I give them the 50 megaton feat, they lack anything else to capitalize on it. Sure, Simmons is like 90 times faster than the average super soldier. A calc that means nothing if you don't say how fast a super soldier is. That's about it. But most importantly, and what puts them in last place, is a skill issue. The simulation troopers are, canonically speaking, comically bad soldiers. They are the closest thing to your normal guy, if not actually kinda worse. So that is why they are in last place at number 40. And at number 39 we have the Blue Team. A lot of the same arguments apply in terms of why I'm not giving them the 50 megaton bomb feat, but there are actual things that set them apart. For one, Caboose and Agent Texas are strong enough to flip tanks, so that is, plus for them. And Agent Texas is actually trained and has skills, so it's not completely bad. And the issue is her whole programmed to inevitable failure thing means she's gonna lose if someone's on par or greater than her. Well, she should lose if someone's greater than her. Point being, she can only carry so long. And then you have Tucker, which, while admittedly probably the second most skilled of the Blues and actually somewhat competent, he's nowhere near the skill of other characters on this list. Or Destructiferous in that case. Then you have Caboose, who's more likely to kill his own teammates than an enemy. And then you have Church, who is canonically probably the worst fighter out of all the Reds and Blues. Point being, that is why they are in 39th place. And at 38, we have Red Hood. And I feel bad for Red Hood fans, but they just gave him nothing. And if I wasn't being nice and not troll, decided to not troll with the reds and blues, he'd be in last. That is because all they really gave him was bullet timing and the venom drug, making him 10 times stronger. A number that means nothing if you don't know his baseline strength. Now, to be fair, he was trained by Batman, the League of Assassins, and the All-Caste Assassins, so he is likely more skilled than some of the people placed above him, but due to just being given no feats in the episode, he is in 38th. And at 37th, we have the Winter Soldier. Now, he actually was given a durability feat, being able to tank a repulsor blast that blew up a helicopter, and also place that bullet timing. Now, that being said, he's also, trained under British commandos, fought alongside Captain America, all that. He has the Infinity Formula that enhances his strength, speed, whatnot. The issue why he's not placed much higher is, again, he wasn't really given any feats in his own episode. They more so talked about, his arsenal and training and stuff. Actually, they didn't even really talk about his training that much. Point being, the reason he's in 37th is just due to a lack of feats in his own episode. I can't place him higher if I don't have any calculations. And in 36th place, we have Zuko. Now, as an Avatar fan, particularly a Zuko fan, because I always found firebending to be the coolest of the four, this one hoots. But to be fair, they gave him no stats outside of the temperature of his fire, which is completely irrelevant in Versus debating. At least at the level he's performing at. As for calcs I can get, they put him at a lightning timer, which should be roughly Mach 300, and said his firebending was building level, which, according to Versus Battle Wiki, should be anywhere from 0.25 to 2 tons of TNT. So, lightning timer and building level. Now, to be fit, which is stronger and faster than those below him. Now, to be fair to Red Hood and Winter Soldier, they did say firebending was based on Northern Shaolin Kung Fu. And given that traditional Chinese martial arts is fraudulent, you could make a skill argument for some of the people below him, but based on the stats presented in the episode, Zuko would be placed in 36. And for 35, we have Goro. The first stat to bring up, and his weakest stat of the episode, is they calced him at being a bullet timer. In fact, they calced a lot of Mortal Kombat characters at bullet timing at this part in their research around this time period, so yeah, that's his weakest stat, but he does get better stuff, better AP stuff later in the episode. As for it, AP and durability, we were given 3. The one he scales to most directly is this ship explosion, which equals 3 million joules, which, side tangent, because this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine, but anytime they use joules in an episode, and this started ever since season 4, just know it's about to be the most unimpressive shit you've ever seen, as just a rule of thumb. Because I believe later on in the episode, they only put this at 0.77 tons of TNT. Not even a full ton of TNT. It's, again, if rule of thumb, if they use joules, prepare to be disappointed in the actual feat. He also scales to this 25-ton blast as well. And lastly, if we want to highball him to Elder Gods, he can scale to a 270-ton of TNT blast as well. So it's for these reasons I put him in 35. As for like fighting styles and abilities, I mean obviously outside of the four aims, he knows the Shokan style and the Kuotan style, both of which are fictional, so I can't really give you any info on how good they are. He also has like Dragon Claw stuff, and he can breathe fire, so... But that's all like semantics, cool stuff, but stat-wise, yeah, he's slower than some of the people below him, but he's also like definitively tougher, at least at the high ends. And at number 34, we have Batgirl. Ugly source filmmaker, model, and everything. Now, the only number they actually put on screen is a 58-ton explosion for Batgirl, but they also give her lightning timing for her speed in case you were wondering. Well, not in case you're wondering, that's sort of important for the list, but... Now, moving on. And at number 33, we have Leonardo. And short tangent, but one thing I find funny about this episode, if my eye could stop twitching, is that despite calling him the Bruce Lee of reptiles, they didn't give him a single fighting style Bruce Lee actually knew. To my knowledge, Bruce Lee was trained in Wing Chun, that was like his base, what he built off of. Jeet Kune Do, which he invented, so I can't really say he trained in it. And like 2 other Chinese martial arts whose names elude me. He also had a short stint in Tai Chi, but dropped it before realizing the slow, elegant movements don't really work. Which, gonna be honest, kind of a massive aura drop that he even attempted Tai Chi in a fight. And upon further research, he was also had some knowledge in boxing, wrestling, karate, judo, taekwondo, hapkido, eskrima, and even a bit of fencing. And I'm using these terms like trained in or had knowledge in very loosely. I'm not claiming he was like a black belt in all of these, just that he dabbled. Now, for Leonardo, they listed ninjutsu, which is technically 18 different disciplines ranging from various different weapons to like use of diversion and espionage skills. Kinjutsu, which is katana fighting. Niten Ichiryu, a dual-wielding style invented by Miyamoto Musashi, a man much cooler than Bruce Lee, frankly, but by now it should be obvious I'm a bit of a Bruce Lee skeptic. He also had Trukenjutsu, which is throwing stars, pressure point fighting, which is an invention of Hollywood, because surprise, surprise, your fingers are actually pretty brittle. The Qi Gong technique, which I believe is a fictional fighting style, so I can't talk about it. And the Healing Hands technique, which is also a fictional fighting style I can't really talk about. Okay, now on to his actual feats. As for speed, they gave him the lightning timing, although technically below it because, well, one of the issues with things like bullet timing or lightning timing is while that can give you a baseline, there are certain factors that can change how fast it actually is. For example, how close the shooter is to the target. Dodging something at point blank requires more speed than dodging something like across the city. Also, things like consecutive attacks or attacks from multiple angles. Point being, when I use terms like bullet timing or lightning timing, I'm giving a very general calculation. There are other factors. Anyway, the speed they gave Leonardo is up here. As for strength, they put him at 240 tons. And the thing that prevents him from really just getting any higher on the list is only 12 tons for durability. Like, that's just very low. In terms of, like, when you have people that can blow up entire universes and planets and, like, stuff, 12 tons, that's nothing, So that is why Leo is where he is. And at number 32, we have Sindel. As for stats, they put the Banshee Scream at 500 tons of TNT. And for strength, they put her Diamond Chop at 4,351 tons of force. Not tons of TNT, tons of force. It's a complicated, they're different. And while the Banshee Scream and the Diamond Chop should give her better AP than everyone below her, one thing that's really just kills her place in the ranking is she was only placed at bullet timing, or Mach 2.79. And at 31 we have Spider-Gwen. Now the only number they actually put up on screen for her was a 124-ton explosion, but they also put her at being a light timer, being able to dodge lasers, and being able to lift 10 tons of TNT. But it should be noted that her Venom symbiote is weak to sand and fire, which might affect her in the given who's next. And at number 30, we have Jake Long. This is probably our second case of a character being carried by like 1 feet. Well, because while his AP is kind of abysmal, only put at 31 tons of TNT, they also did give him light time scaling, being able to dodge lasers. So the reason I put him this high is just because he's a light timer. He also, has fire, and Spider-Gwen's weak to fire, so that's why I put him above Spider-Gwen, but this is a character where his AP and durability were just given trash calcs, so that's why he doesn't go any higher. And at number 29, we have the Red Power Ranger, specifically Jason Lee Scott. For lifting strength, they gave him 69 tons for lifting a boulder. But more importantly, he scales to a 12,000-ton feat that the other Ranger performed. And lastly, for durability, they gave him a 500 tons of TNT blast that he survived. They also put him at being a lightning timer, so you can say, he's slower than this character on the list if you want to be pedantic about it. In my opinion, his durability and AP beats everyone below him. Well, it's not my opinion, that's just the numbers, but point being that he's where he is for a reason. And at 28, we have Machamp. Remember I said some characters are carried by one stat and nothing else? I was talking about Machamp. His seismic toss gives him both AP and durability of 133 kilotons. The issue with that is they also just straight up put his speed at Mach 1, making him the slowest character of the season. In fact, because his speed is so slow that, sure, there's characters above him he might be hundreds of times stronger than, but he's hundreds of thousands of times slower as well. So because of that, I'm putting Machamp where he is. And at number 27, we have Venom. Okay, now, for speed, they put him at, I believe, Mach 2000. I'll put it on the screen. But the main important stat to learn is they put his durability at 244 decibels, which, if my calculation's correct, should get him to about 5 kilotons of TNT. Which, while yes, that does mean he is technically weaker than the previous opponent, the massive speed difference and the fact that he simply has better hacks and stuff is why I put him at 27. And at 26 we have Miles Morales. Now, while for durability they only gave him a 222 ton of TNT survival thing, they also did scale him to main series Peter Parker, who can dodge light and also can strike at 2 kilotons of force, which, just because AP and durability are almost directly related, would technically make his durability 2 kilotons. So those are the those are the calcs for Miles. And I put him above the previous two because of light speed scaling. And at 25 we have Danny Phantom. This is probably the second character on the list that's mostly carried by like 1 or 2 singular stats. Because for speed, which I'll put up on screen, they actually put him at the light speed scaling. And for durability, he's put at 7.5 kilotons of TNT. Now, the reason why I say he's carried by these 2 stats is the next stat I'll bring up. And that is, they only put his AP at 555 tons of TNT. Utterly garbage stat, like laughably low. The only reason he's even... So while, like, yes, his speed and durability can allow him to hang with certain characters, the reason he's not going any higher is just his laughably low AP. There's no other way around it. And at 24, we have Saberwolf, whose AP and durability was calc'd at about 1.6 kilotons, and is capable of reacting within a nanosecond, which should put him at light speed. If not faster, but we will get to that when we get there. And at 23 we have Static Shock, who is capable of melting 188 tons of ice as well as moving and flying at light speed, but that's not his most impressive feat. His most impressive feat was launching a locker into space, which was calc'd at 4.4 kilotons. The reason I put him above the rest is I honestly found him having the better hacks and out of everyone below him in the, well, really just period, especially in the kiloton range, but you know what I mean. It's moving on. And at 22 we have Todoroki. God, I fucking hate My Hero Academia. Now, because this episode had next to no calcs or no big numbers to put on screen, According to Versus Battle Wiki, this should be 10.9 megatons of TNT, so first character to break into a megaton range, which is why he's where he's at. But he was only put at a lightning timer, so he is much slower than a few characters below him, and definitely slower than like some of the high tiers that move a bajillion times faster than light. Some of the like lower characters, it's kind of awkward to explain why they're lower in the list outside of just the top 10's like Planet Busters and bajillion times light speed, like there's only so many ways you can say he's placed this high because his calcs weren't higher. And at 21 we have Genos, who can blow up a mountain with 66 kilotons of TNT, but don't worry, he gets much higher. These are just occasionally, Death Battle puts like a big number up for like one of the weaker feats of the character's analysis onto the feat that's that brought him this high, which is that he kicked Elder Centipede with 15 megatons of force. That being said, he was only calced at Mach 200, so he is quite a bit slower than some of the people below him, but he has the firepower to make up for it. And at 20 we have Krona. And yes, I'm using the child picture of her. Krona was calced to move at Mach 9000, can lift 10,000 tons, and the 275 decibel feet, if I am correct, should put her at 5 megatons of TNT if I'm doing my calculations right. So, while yes, she is a bit weaker than the previous two, I frankly prefer the Mach 8000 over Strength, because it's not like a massive strength gap. And I also find her to have better stats. I know Krona goes by it in the manga, well, not. It's never confirmed in the manga, but I'm guessing. I'm calling it her. Sue me. And at 19 we have Kakashi, whose AP was calced at 18 megatons of TNT, and whose speed was put at Mach 2000. At 18 we have Rock Lee, whose AP was calced at 234 megatons of TNT, and he was put at light speed for speed. Yeah. And no, I'm not giving him the 8th Gates feat because, for one, it's just a form he has not canonically used, and two, it would just mess with the list by creating a situation where Lee is then above certain characters that are above Sanji, but Sanji's above Lee according to the episode, so just makes things more of a triangle than a linear list. Also, fuck you, it's my list. I can decide who I put where. And at 18 we have Black Canary. Now, not gonna lie, you'd think this is a troll pick given they only put her strength at 27 tons of force. But the next two calcs are why she's this high. For one, they put her nanosecond speed at 60 million times faster than Sindel, who was a bullet timer. Which, if my calculations are correct, is 100 and would make Black Canary 130 times faster than light. So I'm not sure if this is a case of me having bad math or Death Battle having bad math, or comic book writers just adding feats that make no damn sense, but speed-wise, something is going wrong here. But most importantly, they put her Canary Cry at nearly 600 megatons of TNT. Now I admit, still kind of feels like a troll pick putting her this high, but no, her speed and AP justify it. And at 16 we have Sanji, whose AP was calced at 12 gigatons of TNT, so he's our first character to break into the gigaton range, and can move at 13 times light speed. Now I also low-key forgot about the fact that Sanji doesn't fight women, so I guess this list really isn't as linear as I want it to be, but you know what, it's too late now. I'm putting Sanji above Black Canary. And at 15 we have John Talbane, who can scale to other Darkstalkers who are able to pull off a feat with basically 1 trillion tons, which if I'm correct is 1 teraton of TNT. Don't quote me on that. Point being, he's our first character to break into the teraton range. And also, while they did say likely far faster than light due to scaling to some robots that can fly across galaxies, they never said how much faster, so I'll just put him at light speed in the bottom text. And at 14 we have Grey Fullbuster. Gosh, I hate Fairy Tail. Not as much as My Hero, but Fairy Tail has some of the most Mickey Mouse tier death fake-outs I have ever fucking seen. Really turned me off to the show. The only 2 feats you really need to know are he scales to Urza's Meteor feat calced at Mach 20,000 and 56 teratons of force. And at 13 we have War Machine, whose AP was calced at 286 teratons of TNT. Although his speed was only put at Mach 600, so he's definitely on the slower side of this season. Granted, I figured Ghost Tech would even that out a little bit, but if you want to argue some characters within the same ballpark should be above him due to a speed advantage, I mean, make your own list, but I won't disagree with you. And at 12 we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, who can scale up to 14 petatons of TNT and faster than light speed scaling. And at 11 we have Esdeath. Now, being a hot yandere, it does pain me that she's not in the top 10, but hey, if she's only losing to like Marvel, DC, Dragon Ball, all your more overpowered versus, that's a win in my book. My waifu is on the leaderboard. And her max EP, or daily AP, was put at 93 petatons of TNT, and she does scale to Grey in speed according to the episode. Now while she is a bit slower, I figured time stop evens it out. Also, it's my list, and she's a hot yandere, so I can do what I want. And if I want to say she's in 11th place, I'm going to put her in 11th place. And at number 10 we have Cable. I'm finally in the top 10. I know I've been blowing through some of these, but when you're talking about 40 different characters, there's just some I do not care to talk about. I'll pass like their stats and etc. But hey, so close to finishing up now. And his strongest feat was calced at 12 112 septillion tons of TNT or 112 Yoda tons, which is why he is this high on the list. And I believe they never actually calculated his speed feats at all. But, yeah. And at number 9 we have Booster Gold, whose strongest feat was calculated at 14 tenatons, and whose speed was calculated to be FTL. Well, technically they did say he scales to the Flash, but they never defined how fast the Flash is, so just vaguely really much faster than light, but without a definitive number, he can't get any higher on the list. And at number 8 we have She-Ra. And I'm starting to wonder why I didn't just use the character title cards for this video. I might actually just be retarded, but yeah, that would have made editing a lot easier. And too late now. And for AP and durability, she was put at 44 Yoda tons of TNT. While you might bring up that that's weaker than both Cable's and Booster Gold's feats, I will have to bring up strength. I mean, not speed. I will have to bring up speed to show you why I put her this high. And that is because her speed was calculated at 454 times light speed when riding Swift Wind, but more importantly, her best speed feat is next. That is, she can travel at 21.9 billion times faster than light when riding Crystal Sundancer. So this is the part of the video where we just get into characters that are like bajillions of times light speed and other ridiculous feats that make verses no longer very fun. So, while, yeah, she is 100,000 times weaker than Booster Gold, she's quite literally 21 billion times faster given they put him at dodging lasers. So for those reasons, she is in number 8. And at number 6 we have Wonder Woman, who can tank punches worth 2 billion megatons of force, which I believe are 2 petatons, and can lift 2 quintillion tons, which were 2 exatons, I believe. And while technically weaker than some other stuff, keep in mind her sword can cut at the subatomic level, which is important given the next feat. And that is that her speed was calculated at 52.5 quintillion times the speed of light. So durability negation with the atom cutting sword plus a massive speed blitz is why she's as high as she is, even if she is technically weaker than 1 or 2 of the people below her. And at number 7 we have Sailor Galaxia. And yes, I'm taking shots from the Spanish dub because I believe the episode proper was region locked everywhere. Now, while her speed was only calculated at 366 quadrillion times light speed, making her a bit slower, that she more than makes up for it given her next feat. And that is she was calculated at 8 times universal. Doesn't really matter how strong your opponent is when you can blow up a universe 8 times over and your opponent can't. And this is the part of the video where we get into the characters that can just blow up universes a bajillion times over. Another area where versus debating no longer becomes very fun, but that's just my opinion. At number 5 we have the Hulk, who they calculated to be capable of destroying the universe 120 times over. and can match speeds up to 293 quadrillion times light speed. And at number 4 we have Broly, who is calculated to be 30 times stronger than the Worldbreaker Hulk, or 3,600 times universal at a bare minimum, and is likely far stronger. Who is calculated to be 242 quadrillion times light speed using the same shockwave feat. You know, they really overused the shockwave feat in later seasons to the point where you could make it a drinking game. And at number 3 we have Lord Beerus, again using the Spanish dub for my clicks, who is again calc at 200 quadrillion times light speed, although they actually didn't use that number in the episode proper, they used this number instead. And they also put him at 9 times universal, but likely, well, far stronger given he scales to, I believe, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. And in second place we have Sonic from the Archie comics. And I'm just not going to spend too much time on this. He has immeasurable speed, can warp reality in all sorts of ways due to his speed, and oh yeah, wish powers. Pretty cut and dry on why he is in second place. And in first place, and this should have been obvious, we have Wally West's version of the Flash. Basically the same arguments as the previous entry, immeasurable speed, all types of reality warping powers, but most importantly they said his race with Barry threatened to destroy the entirety of the DC multiverse, which is massive. I don't really need to explain how big it is. It's DC, you should know it just gets ridiculous. So thanks for watching, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next entry.